Hey there, good people. So I am here for season 4, episode 6 of Handmaid's Tale. The episode is entitled Vows. And I don't know who is going to be here to join me for this live, but whoever sees it, pop on there. Be happy to see you. And I'm going to talk through it while I watch on Hulu. I watched it a couple times. It's a great episode. This is a great season. Action-packed. Hey, Barbara Grace. How are you? So there's so much going on, but I have got the Hulu with the commercials on it. So I'm going to ramble while the commercials are on. There's the funny progressive commercial where everybody's turning into their parents. Very hilarious. One of my favorite commercials. And we're going to skip the recap because I know about the whole recap thing. And I'm going to keep the volume low enough so that I don't get a copyright strike when I upload this to YouTube. And I want it high enough so that I can kind of hear it a little bit. And so what is happening here? This is, as I said, this is a great episode. All the episodes have been great this season. And it opens up with life before Gilead. And then there is June and Moira, and they're kicking back in their apartment and enjoying mimosas, probably on a nice Sunday. Delish. And we're gonna look for the thread in this episode because the title being vows. We're gonna look at all the vows that were taken, and there's one vow that I think has been forgotten. I've listened to other commentators talk about this episode, and I've posted a few of them in our Facebook group. But one of the vows that was forgotten was Moira made a vow to June when they were in the Rachel Center. You remember that? And they were in the bed together, and well, they weren't in bed together, but they were in bed, and she promised June that she would help her get her child. And it's very interesting to me in the web of vows in this episode that particular vow wasn't mentioned at all. But here we are. That flashback is over. We see that they were having a good time, and now they're back in war-torn Chicago, and everything's ablaze, and Moira is looking at June and calling her name, and poor June is A, traumatized, and B, concussed, so she's not... Poor June. So she's stumbling through the wreckage, not knowing what the heck is up. And Moira is trying to get her to even recognize her or to come with her for help. And poor June. It's just like she's trying to find Janine. Where is Janine? Oh my God. Can really hope for that poor girl that she's okay. But poor June. Oh my goodness. Elizabeth Moss, what a great actress, really. She's just shell-shocked and tired and empty, and her soul is just eroded from years of Gilead and now this, and death all around her, poor thing. So now they're on a recovery vehicle together, and she's kind of snuggled up with Moira, who is so overjoyed to have found her friend. goodness, what a mess. So all around them is this chaos and destruction. For Chicago. And the medic is trying to look at June and trying to give her some help, trying to figure out if she has had a concussion or perhaps even brain damage. Who even knows what happens when a bomb blows up right next to you? I pray to never know such a thing. So the medic says that June is most likely concussed, but we don't know the extent of the concussion at this point, but it's looking to be a pretty severe one, the way she is not responding to Moira. Like she's kind of... But here's the moment when she does recognize that it's Moira who has saved her. So here's the reunion, because now she knows it's her friend. But it's short-lived, because now she realizes that her mission is to get her daughter, and then the new mission was to find Janine. Oh my goodness, Janine is telling Moira she's so crazy. Seriously? No, I think Moira is quite sane, and I think that your poor brains have been scrambled by all this abuse. It's so unfair. Oh my goodness. And then the loving music comes on that makes you just weep. Even though I've seen this before, I'm totally weeping. And back to a commercial. So the first vow we see in this episode, of course, is the vow between the girlfriends, and the vow to to be good to each other, to have each other's back, and to protect each other come hell or high water. And definitely Moira's kept her word. She volunteered to come back into this war-torn area, I'm sure, in major part to see if she could play any part in helping June. And now she's going through what she needs to go through to help June get to Canada. My, what a mess. It's such a well-written show. Like, all the scenes are very, very tight. This is a short episode. It's only 40 minutes, but it didn't feel short to me. It felt like a whole lot was going on, and a whole lot that had to do, there was like no fluff in it. A whole lot that had to do with the story moving forward. And so now it was about, unfortunately, the poor handmaids, that cadre of handmaids is deceased. And now it's about, there's some mystery regarding Janine, but it's about now we're moving forward with June's character and her destiny. It also gives a nice bandwidth to Moira, who's always been a major character moving things forward, but now she really is actively moving things forward, because now we're back to June being in this truck and lying there all bruised up, and she goes to tell her girlfriend Una, who is the head of this group of people who are doing the AIDS work. She goes and tells her partner, well, I don't think she's a partner, but she was a girlfriend, that she found her best friend. And at first, Una is very happy to hear that, but then very clearly says that, you can't take her, because if you take her, then it ruins our relationship that we put together with Gilead, and not only endangers, one person, it endangers many people moving forward. So their ability to come in and give aid to people in that community gets squashed. Their ability to save lives gets squashed, and she's not willing to give up the lives of the many for the life of one. Moira feels otherwise. and goes after June and is now trying to get her to put her head down and run through the crowd and to get her on the boat. Everybody's running, everybody's cleaning up, and now the more bombs are coming and they have to leave the area. And so now the people of Chicago are realizing that they're being abandoned to their fate there in a war-torn area. And the scenes that are coming up around here really remind me of what happened in Saigon, where the American troops pulled out and the poor people were left there to a very uncertain future, and we're screaming and crying and we're hanging on to helicopters trying to be saved. It's definitely very, very emotional thinking about that. So Moira's trying to get June on the boat. She is saying no, she wants to go back. She wants to get Janine. She wants to get her daughter. And Moira is telling her, you can't do this to me. You cannot make me leave without you again. Do not make me leave without you again. Because that was very, something that was definitely heavy on Moira's heart, and something that she felt guilty about, that she was able to get out. She was able to get out, and June was left behind. And that was not the first time. But although she got recaptured and was taken into Jezebel's, we want to remember that Moira attempted to leave Gilead first, and then got apprehended, and then ended up in Jezebel's. Was that Jezebel's? Yeah, I believe it was. So now she's really trying to talk to her. She's trying to help her understand that if she goes back, she's just going to be killed, and that Gilead will hunt her down and kill her in front of her daughter. And does she really want that to happen to her girl? And that she can really be of better use to her daughter to come to Canada, where she has resources and people who love her, the government, and she has Luke, and she has Moira, and everybody else is there in Canada. So it would be better off for her to go there. She's being given the rundown of the people who love her in Canada, and not to mention her other daughter, Nicole, is there. Baby Nicole is there. Poor baby Nicole hasn't had her mother. Moira's telling her the baby's okay and she's growing up and she's amazing, but she needs you. So you need to come back and be a mother to her, because you are her mother. And she's begging her, please please come with me. Please get on this boat. Meanwhile, everyone else is running towards the boat. Such an emotional scene. I feel myself welling up watching it again. All these people begging for their lives, and this woman begging for her girlfriend's life. And finally, June says, all right, I'll go. So they run together, and by the hair of their teeth, it feels like they make it on this boat. Just as all of the people in Chicago tear down the fence in their quest to try to get on the boat themselves and trying to get away. Those poor people, I feel so bad for them, because, this is a TV show, but we know that this is happening to people all over the world as we speak. People are being subject to conditions of war that have nothing to do with them personally. It has to do with their government's positions on this or that. And that causes them to be at peril. So we see that the fence was torn down. Those people are running into the shipping yards, but that the boat is pulling away. And June's having big feelings as she's on the boat. And now we're in another flashback, and we see June packing up, and it looks like she's getting ready for her wedding, or she's engaged to Luke, and she's packing up her stuff from the apartment and packing up to move in with Luke. This is a very interesting scene because it brings up something that I was complaining about last week. One of the reasons why Luke is not one of my favorite people. And she's bringing up a point that, well, firstly, she's asking her friend, do you think it's a good idea that you're marrying Luke? And she's like, well, why shouldn't I marry Luke? Why shouldn't I marry this nice man with big shoulders? Like, that's a criteria for a partner, that he has nice shoulders. The nice man part, the good man part is, yeah, I can see that, but the shoulders, I don't know about that. Anyway, so she's saying to her friend, why do you think it's a bad idea? And she's like, well, the man's a cheater. And I was saying this last week. I was like, yeah, he's a cheater. He cheated on his wife. And we didn't even get into the racial dynamics of that, but we can if we want to. And we get the information now that Luke's wife was unable to conceive. And so, that even I even have more sympathy for and empathy for the wife hearing that information. And so, yeah. So he's a man who has cheated on his first wife, who was unable to conceive, and she's bringing up a good point. Why wouldn't he do that again? Why do you trust that he wouldn't cheat again? And what will happen if you can't conceive in the marriage? And why is this always the woman's problem? Going back to like King Henry VIII, why is the woman always tripping when the man is no one considers that the man could be the infertile one? Who knows at this point in their relationship, because she hasn't gotten pregnant yet. It's a flashback. But why is nobody questioning whether these men are infertile at all, ever? But in any case, so the girlfriends have a very poignant conversation, a very tense conversation, because it's clear that June sees her future with this man, and her girlfriend's not having him. And if we remember too, go back to the first season of The Handmaid's Tale, we see that Moira is really very snappish towards Luke. Like, she really doesn't have any big respect for him. I think her sense of respect for him started when they reunite, Moira and Luke reunite in Canada. And we see that he has put on his sheet family members, and he put Moira on his family member sheet. And so when she was called and realized that he had done that he had, after how badly she's treated him, that he put her on the list as a family member to be called in case she showed up, that really touched her. And then, of course, they've been living together all this time. And then, of course, they've been raising the baby together all this time. So definitely now she has better feelings towards him as a person. But back then she was being a good girlfriend, saying, you need to watch this character. I don't know. And I still kind of feel that way. So now poor Moira is talking to her lady friend, Uma, and she thought she got away with something, but now we see that there is an inspection that has to happen. And that inspection is going to reveal that June is on the ship. So here we're hearing that there's a port inspection, and Moira is shocked to hear that and realizes now she's got to come clean, and she has to let her girlfriend know that she smuggled this very radioactive person onto the ship. And then that move is going to affect a lot of things. So now here we are in the bowels of the ship with the crew. And the crew is being told that, here's June Osborne, the infamous June Osborne. And, she's saying that she respects June for what she's done with Angel's Flight and getting those kids out. But now she's a danger to them. She's a danger to the work that they're doing supporting people and giving them food and medical aid in this war-torn area. And Moira is sticking up for her friend as best she can. And this, there's this guy who's like immediately like, turn her in. Oh my goodness, what is it with these men? Yeah, basically this guy is like, well, he's the first person to speak, and he's like, well, we need to turn her in. And then another woman on the ship says, we should, goodness. So another woman says, we should keep her. And now we're up to two men who said pretty quickly, we should turn her into the authorities. So Moira is begging for them to hide her somehow and protect her somehow. And so this argument is going on around June, and we're panning in close to June's face, and I know she's going to say something. And she says, just turn me in. And then all the conversation ceases. Moira's like, don't listen to her. But June is like, my life isn't worth any more than anyone else's. It's a very hard call. I can certainly see both sides. But I just find it poignant that these two men are like spearheading, who was totally like down with, turn her in. And there was only another woman and Moira who were like, let's help her. Oh, goodness. Not a good look, people. So now poor Moira is begging that she not be, don't turn her in. And she's like, what are you doing? Like, after all you've been through now, you're going to just let yourself it's going to turn in yourself. And she's looking at Moira kind of crazy. Poor June, she can't. This poor woman. How much can one person take? I swear, I think this is the most put upon character in all of television landia. I can't even deal. So the inspection boat is coming, and I'm assuming that's a Gilead, and I believe it's from Gilead. I don't see a flag or anything. And Moira says to Una in an incredible, like, just so plaintive, please. And that touches Una's heart. And Una says, okay, get her a mask, clean her up, get her identification, don't have her mess it up. So here comes a really, really tense scene where June is dragged back into the ship, and an ID is being provided for her, and she is being getting ready to talk to the authorities. Heart pounding. What's going to happen? This is too much. I'm going to just pay the extra money and get the Hulu that doesn't have commercials, because that would just make it so much easier to do my little commentary. Okay, what commercial is this? Oh, it's delicious products. Freshly.com, delicious. I had a problem with them, actually. I had a Freshly.com subscription for a hot minute, but they put cheese in almost everything, and I cannot consume cheese. So that was problematic. Cheese and tomato sauce and almost all of the meals that they had. It was very, very few meals that didn't have those two things in it somewhere. So that was it between me and Freshly. They weren't so fresh. So definitely Moira is keeping her vow to her friend, and that she is doing her absolute best to have her life spared and have her be okay. So now we're back to the show, and the ship is approaching and they're searching for contraband. So they're looking around, is supposed to look through this ship from stem to stern. So, and they're interviewing each member of the crew one by one. Una is not pleased. They're asking for papers, the way fascist regimes will be asking people for papers. They're getting down the line, and now Moira's being questioned. June is next. And she lies with a perfectly straight face, saying that she's from Toronto, and we know she's not. And then June comes forward, and what is she going to do? And June is just cross-eyed, practically. And she says her name is Rachel Smith. And the soldier asks, did something happen to you? Because clearly she looks totally out of her body. Luckily, the soldier is distracted briefly. And then comes back to her and asks her what happened to her. And that gives Moira the opportunity to jump in. And, you know, June has that whacked out look on her face, meaning that, like, she could still turn herself in. That scared me. She was opening her mouth to say something, but she could have been getting ready to turn herself back in. Oh, my God. So Moira jumps in and talks about how she was potentially injured and asks the soldier, I hope you don't have any family in Chicago. If you do, I hope that they're okay. And then he just says, okay, the next person. So thank goodness for that. Because I really think in that moment, June was saved from herself yet again. Because she was about to say the wrong thing. I really think she was going to say the wrong thing. Okay, so now they are out of there. That other ship has gone away. And you made it, June, says Moira. We're going to Canada. And June just looks like a deer in the headlights. She's just a deer in the headlights with this whole situation. She is so torn. You can just see her pain. It's so evident, so evident. So back to another lovely flashback. I like this episode with the flashbacks. I really appreciate it. And there she is with Luke, and he is moving her into his place, it looks like. This is before they were married, but getting ready to be married. And then they start to talk about their wedding and the vows they took when they married each other, and how they're writing their own vows. And she was wondering, she's asking him questions about his wedding to Annie, and he's telling her that, well, that was a different kind of wedding. And I'm assuming that means it was like more traditional. And she's saying traditional vows like sickness and health, richer for poorer, all that sort of thing. And he's saying to her, well, you know, we're not going to have that kind of a marriage. We're not going to have the same kind of marriage that I had with another person, with Annie. She's another person. You're a different person. Excuse me. And so it's going to be different with you.
It's a cocktail picture, okay? That I stole.
I don't know what this deal is with the cocktail picture. I guess she swiped that out of the apartment that she shared with Moira, and that it was Moira's. I don't know if there's a joke in that or some story there that I'm missing. If somebody knows it, you know, feel free to type it in. So then she goes into having this conversation with Luke about her insecurities, about what he did before and how he did leave Annie because she was unable to conceive. And he is like, he's telling her not to worry about that he's going to be happy with her whether they have kids or not. She's like, well, you really wanted kids. And he's like, well, I really want you. And she's wondering about disappointing him. He's saying that he won't be disappointed, which I don't know. I don't know. He's been kind of disappointing to me, but that's just my opinion. But he allays her fears and gets her to not be concerned about him abandoning her, even though he's done it once. And statistically, how that works is if they do it once, they're going to do it again. And now back to the ship. We have June just sitting there. And similarly to the end of, was it the end of the first season? Where she, or some point in the first season where she gets in a van and she doesn't know where she's going. I think that's when Nick is trying to save her and she just gets in the van and she's like, I step into this van and I don't know where I'm going, but I put my fate, I put my life in fate's hands, basically. And so here's another situation that's very similar. Here she is going somewhere. She doesn't know where. She doesn't know what it's going to mean. And now Moira and Una are having an argument. Una's very upset with herself that she let down her boundaries as the leader of this operation. And so she's breaking up with Moira, very sad. And then Moira's like, well, can we see each other in the office? And Una's like, well, there's not going to be an office because the whole AIDS area, that whole aid area is for sure, she's anticipating it being shut down after the folks in Gilead realized that June Osborne snuck out on that boat. They're not going to let any more boats in to help any more people. So Una's whole modus operandi has just been squashed. Very, very sad. So poor Moira. She had a lady friend before, the doctor who it appears got blown up in the attack on the brand new the Leah Center, in that amazing explosion. It seemed that her doctor girlfriend was killed in that debacle. And now here she is. She's got a new lady that she was really looking like they had a lot going on. It looked like a very sweet romance happening there, and all that's over. So Moira has really given up so much for her friend at this point. It's really sad. And so here's the thing. What has Luke given up? I'm just going to go back to him because I just really don't like him. I just don't like Luke. What has he done? He's been, because he took care of the baby, that makes him Jesus, because he took care of the baby. What was he going to do with the poor little baby that was an innocent party? I mean, and Moira's been taking care of the baby too. So, that makes him, Prince Charming because he took care of the baby. What has he given up? Everybody around June has given up stuff for June, right down to the handmaids who gave up their lives as they followed her, right? And, anyway. So, back to the show. Commercials are over. And here we have June trying to get in the lifeboat. What? June, what are you doing? Oh my God, you definitely get hit hard in the head. You definitely got smacked really hard. Because now she's going to, get on this thing and eat and drown on her way back to Gilead to get killed. So Moira's like, fine, I don't have my sweetheart anymore, and you're my girlfriend, so I am going with you. I am not going to, you're not going to leave me behind again, and we're not going to leave each other behind. And June was like, you manipulated me, which is true. She did do that. I'm going to go. And my Hannah's gone. I'm never going to get hold of my daughter again. She's so demoralized based on the last time that she saw Hannah and what happened there. And now she's letting Moira know what did happen with Hannah and why she's responding in this way. She was saying that, I'm going to go back with you. If you want to go back, I will go with you, and we will drown together or we'll be killed together. But I'm not going to have us be separate. So this poor mother, her heart is broken into a billion pieces, and she lets Moira know how it felt to have her child not even recognize her, or for her child to be afraid of her after, her whole everything has been trying to get back to this little girl and trying to save her from where she is. And she knows that her daughter's coming along to getting closer and closer to Gilead marriageable age, which is like her nightmare for her child. She's also expressing what I would consider to be, understandable mother's guilt, that feeling that she, as the mother of this child, should have protected this child. And that's a moment that's a moment every once in a while that I do have some compassion for Luke, because he, as the father of the child, has hard feelings, sad feelings about the fact that he could not protect his family. But he had the opportunity. Remember, they could have left Gilead, except he didn't want to move when Moira moved at first, and that they could have gotten out. So we would have just not had a TV show. If he had had some sense. Oh my goodness. So she's expressing how she feels that she failed. She failed as a mother, and she's failed as a person. And she's feeling that Luke will be disappointed in her. Like, I don't know why Luke, of all people, should be the focus of all of her angst. But she's just been through so much. I get it. She's feeling like he will not forgive her when she has gone through so much trying to save her daughter. I mean, above and beyond. Above and beyond. And she's saying to Moira, well, she knows how much Luke can take. I'm like, girl, no one has taken more than you. Really, no one has taken more crap and more abuse, psychological, spiritual, mental torture than you. So now we're moving to a scene where she's walking down the street. It looks like she's coming home. She's pacing. And then she sees her man. I assume they are married now. And she tells him that she is expecting. So is my favorite part of movies and TV shows. It's usually one of the nicer things when one partner is telling the other partner that a baby's coming. There's always something really sweet and charming about that. So even though it's about Luke, I am just really tickled for them both. And of course, Gilead is brewing around them, but it hasn't really happened yet. And they're living in a community where there aren't a lot of pregnancies. Most women are having a hard time conceiving. And she's remembering when she told Luke that she was expecting, and she's remembering her little newborn baby, those sweet moments of her mothering. She's remembering watching Luke and her little girl playing together at the beach and going to the aquarium, and she's just remembering her beautiful life and her beautiful child and her being a mother to her beautiful child. And her heart is breaking, just breaking. And she turns around and Moira's there with her. She's just so sad. Poor thing. Just been through so much. A poignant moment where Una walks through the cabin but doesn't even address Moira, doesn't even say hello to her. I'm very sad for Moira at her loss of love. Her loyalty has costed her a great deal as well. These folks have been through so much. So much. So I believe, I turned away for a minute, but I believe she's been told that Luke is coming and Luke wants to see her. So she's kind of looking in the mirror, trying to make sure that she doesn't look as bashed up as she feels. But no, dear, she's pretty bashed up. She's still beautiful. She's a beautiful woman. She's just been through the wranger. Oh my God. So here comes Luke. He comes through the door and he kind of stares at her. What is it with the goofy expression? Oh, this man. Oh, well. I don't know. Oh, God help me with my dislike of Luke. I just really don't like him. But she's very happy to see him. June is happy to see him. And they stand there looking at each other for a bit. And he's looking at her quizzically, like he's asking her a question. And so she's apologizing to him that she doesn't have Hannah. It's beyond me that she needs to apologize to anybody for anything. She's apologizing because it's just her. It's just, oh my God, that's heart-wrenching. That's heart-wrenching right there. What do you mean? What do you mean, woman? What do you mean? You have been through so bloody much. He's embracing her. He's telling her she's okay. Oh my God. So emotional, definitely. So emotional. So it looks like they're leaving the ship. Luke is walking with her. Okay. Okay, June. Come on, girl. Walk down the gangplank to freedom. Go on there. Go on, June. Go on, June. Oh, my God. She's going down the gangplank and she stops. Oh, my God. I am so emotional right now. Oh my goodness. And there's her tired face. I mean, we've seen this face before. Poor June. That face that has just been through heck. And she takes a deep breath and she steps onto Canadian soil. Okay, the Handmaid's Tale people. Oh my God, directed, written. We love these people. Margaret Atwood, we love them. We love them. Oh my God, what an amazing episode. What an amazing episode. What an amazing episode. So, goodness, what's going to happen? Where's Janine? We don't know. What's going to happen with little baby Nicole? Is baby Nicole going to trip out with this mama that she hasn't seen for months now? And what's going to happen with Serena and her good-for-nothing husband. Because personally, I think that those two are going to get together, and it's going to be a thing. Because what if they got together and then they did something, they did some deal with Gilead if they can get to turn over June and free themselves? Aha, what about that? What about that? Oh my God, this show is so freaking good. So, thank you, Barbara Grace, for hanging on with me during the live. I'm going to post this on Facebook later. Thank you to all the folks who might watch it on Facebook. Like it, subscribe, that stuff is nice. Send me a message if you would like to be part of my private Facebook group for women watching this fine program. We've been a lovely little group. I would feel comfortable having maybe a couple of more people join us. So please let me know if you'd like to do that. We have been talking about Handmaid's Tale, and we've been doing a really good job, even though it's driven us completely mad, at not doing any spoilers until 3 days after the premiere of an episode. We've been doing really good at that. So we want to keep that up. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you for being here live. Thanks for being here on YouTube. And I want to wish everybody the best. Have a great week. Can't wait till Thursday. And blessed be.